Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have got some intense news today and I can't wait to share it with you. This is a difficult video to do, but let me just say it. I'm leaving Kickstarter. Hey, I know that seems a little dramatic, but let me just clear this up. If you're new to my channel, first off, I don't work for Kickstarter and I'm not per se quitting that company. But what is happening is this. My name's Khierstyn, and if you are new to this channel or whatnot, we focus on brand building, specifically building e-commerce companies. And we launch and scale D2C brands using Shopify and just really building up something that gives you freedom in your life. But for the last 5 years, since 2015, I have been very focused on launching products using Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and rewards-based crowdfunding methods. And in this video, I'm actually going to show you why I'm choosing to walk away from most Kickstarter campaigns and actually pretty much completely pivot into e-commerce and other methods of selling products online. So first things first, I would like to give some history into this. Since 2020, Kickstarter has shifted. Actually, some would say that Kickstarter's been oversaturated for a while. Now, Kickstarter is a platform that physical product companies will go to really tap into a bigger audience to help not only validate ideas, but do big marketing campaigns to secure pre-order funding for products. Because when you do a Kickstarter campaign, you end up building an audience, building market traction, then ultimately launching your product and getting pre-orders. And then you take that revenue from customers and actually go and deliver product, right? So Kickstarter for a while has been one of the biggest ways that small businesses can get financing. But in the last couple of years, it's turned into a big marketing play. What I've noticed in the last few months by observing other agencies, some of our clients, and even friends that launch Kickstarter campaigns with products that I'm like, man, home run. They've got the budget, they've got the audience, or they have the means to acquire both, and they've got a unique enough product to be able to do really well on Kickstarter. We've seen like several products that would have done so well 3 years ago really not do well on Kickstarter. And that's super problematic. So why, and of course, this is an opinion piece. So this is my opinion from what I have observed in the market. Please do your own research before attempting a Kickstarter campaign or if you have a competing opinion. But this is just my opinion of what we have observed and why we are changing. So Kickstarter it's a really attractive offer to launch your product on their platform because when you launch your product and you get enough traction in the first couple of days, you end up being promoted by Kickstarter to their massive community of millions of backers or millions of people that are interested in your product. And you end up investing a bit to build your audience, but ultimately to be able to tap into their audience. And so Kickstarter is like the formula for helping your product go viral. But what has happened, because it's such an attractive platform that has offered brands so many things, is what usually happens when things get too popular. Kickstarter, in my opinion, has become extremely saturated with products. And that's okay, except that the more products are on Kickstarter, the harder it is for you to get visibility because there's more traction, or more, there's less traction on the campaign. So the more people that are launching a Kickstarter campaign, the harder it is to compete because there's just so much competition for eyeballs in the Kickstarter community. So that's kind of one hypothesis I have. And the second thing I've noticed is that because with the rise of e-commerce and Amazon Prime Day and other offers for products, just people selling on their own websites, there's just like e-commerce has seen a massive increase because of 2020 and people like really shifting online. So because of that, Kickstarter's audience, I find, and by Kickstarter, I'm talking about Indiegogo, crowdfunding communities in general, that a lot of these audiences, it's harder to get their eyeballs, not only because of competition on Kickstarter, but because it's just, you're now competing in an oversaturated e-commerce market in general. So the money that you're putting in to hopefully go viral on Kickstarter and get in front of this audience they have, their audience isn't performing like it used to, at least on the campaigns and the projects that we have seen and witnessed. So what we've seen is like half a dozen campaigns that should have been like home runs, not hit their goal. Like, they've hit their goals, but they're pretty disappointed with the outcome. If you ask the founders in the beginning what their goal was going into it versus, what happened, they're like not that happy with it, which is super interesting. And again, before you think, oh, well, Khierstyn, you just suck at what you do. Actually, there's a reason I have been known as the Kickstarter queen, as much as that's like, whatever, crowdfunding queen, sorry. But we started off 5 years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, doing multi-six-figure campaigns with products. I've raised multiple millions of dollars on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, so I feel like that gives me some clout and experience to say when I think something is broken or has to shift in strategy. So after seeing one too many campaigners have awesome products that I thought would just win on Kickstarter, go in with the budget, do everything they're supposed to, and still fall short, it makes me really question the system. So one thing we've been experimenting with in the last few months is actually pivoting strategy. So what is so powerful about Kickstarter is the ability to bring new products to market, in that Kickstarter allows you an audience and a platform to launch a new product, test it, and actually get orders, like pre-orders. So it really helps solve the funding equation for some small businesses that, like, hey, if you have an awesome product but you're just falling short on inventory, how do you get that? And again, traditional funding methods were like angel investment, bank loan, life savings, etc. But what I'm getting at is, like, is there a way that we can take the best of Kickstarter and pivot that to a different strategy that actually serves you and isn't as risky or resource intensive as a Kickstarter campaign? So what we've been experimenting with is, for the last few months, when I've had people come onto sales calls with us where they want to know how we can work together to do a Kickstarter launch, if I'm not convinced that Kickstarter is going to be the right platform, or like crowdfunding will be the right platform to achieve their launch goals, we've actually been working with them to launch on Shopify or launch on their own website. Well, Shopify specifically, because it's the best. Just, whatever opinion. But we've been looking to prove that model. And the value proposition I was saying is, I was like, look, here's your two options with Kickstarter. You can, to launch your product. You can either go to Kickstarter, and if you want to raise $50,000 on Kickstarter in pre-orders, if you're starting from zero, will likely have to invest $15,000 to $20,000 into marketing before you even have money for inventory. And then there's high risk, high reward, where you spend, say, 20 grand building an audience and then driving traffic to your Kickstarter, and you hope that you will hit your funding goals. Whereas the other side of it is, okay, well, if we go to Shopify, if we bypass Kickstarter and we create a pre-order campaign on Shopify, and we start to really just allocate that marketing budget that you have toward direct customer acquisition, meaning that strategy for a Kickstarter campaign would be to spend, like, you're going to take $20,000 and build an email list with that months before launch, and then when you launch, hope that email list converts. Versus, what if you went to Shopify, you launched your product without building up this big audience, and you have a slower launch. So yes, you're not going to have the 50 to 100K revenue in the first month, but you're also not putting out 20K on an audience that may not convert as high that you want it to. So instead, you market test your product, and then you launch your product, and if you are in pre-order mode, you start taking pre-orders for your product, and the money you're spending on advertising literally goes to data and acquiring a customer. So you're going to spend money to actually get money back right away versus the other one, which is more of a long tail approach. So when I presented that offer those options to two different people to say like, look, the choice is yours. Here is the Kickstarter component and here's the Shopify component. What do you want? And then the founders will then, if they choose to go to Kickstarter, they know the risks involved and they're like, that's what they're signing up for, versus the other way is some are like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to spend 20 grand to hopefully get 50. So based on their situation, their list, etc., we can then form a strategy around Shopify. So needless to say, we have been experimenting and developing a system that works to, instead of launching your product on Kickstarter, to borrow that same model and go to Shopify. So it's finally today, as I'm posting this is my birthday today. And for those that guessed right on the email, I'm 35. I really like the 25-year-old comments though, because I still got it. But 35, which is nuts. And I wanted to use this time to just go public with this big pivot. It's super terrifying because I'm basically opening up a new chapter. But what's really awesome is that this isn't that big of a change, because if you followed my work, you'll know that we don't just launch products. We have been working with brands for several years now to build them and scale them into 6, 7, multiple 7-figure brands. We've done this multiple times, and now we're just shifting our focus to what we love to do, which is scaling e-commerce brands. So that brings me to my last point. If you are someone who is looking for a bit of coaching and mentorship to take your business to that next level, check out some of the resources below. We also have our Scale Mastermind, so you can go to joinscalemastermind.com to apply to join our e-commerce accelerator for brand builders. A really awesome community. But I want to take the second half of this video to answer some questions that have come up or may come up. But first of all, comment below and let me know what you think. This is a very risque piece. I don't know how you're going to take it, but that's half the fun in these coming out videos. So, or the big reveal videos. Okay, so what's next? Am I saying that no one should ever do Kickstarter? I am not saying that. What I am saying is that who we will work with to take to Kickstarter and who I recommend goes to Kickstarter has really been niched down. So in my opinion, here's who should go to Kickstarter. If you are a brand in the tech or design space that has a wow factor, brand new, super innovative product that is not in a just like a basic spin on something new, or something that exists, that's number one. So design or tech. 2, you have your site set on $200,000 or more. Number 3, your marketing budget will vary, but you should have about $50K to spend on advertising to build up your audience pre-Kickstarter and drive that traffic. Because you need to go big, you need to play big, and because of that, it's more expensive now to really rank on Kickstarter, okay? Number 4, if you are planning on going big, unless if you have extensive experience in launching products successfully, I highly recommend that you use a launch agency. The agencies I recommend, we have an agency internally. If you're looking for something more boutique, definitely let me know. You can book a call with us. But other agencies that I love, Launch Boom, Rain Factory, and Aventus are awesome. I've worked with all 3, and even if I haven't worked directly with all 3, I have friends who have used them and they've had nothing but awesome experiences. So I recommend that you check out one of those agencies for a full turnkey launch solution if you are working with that kind of budget and don't try to wing it on yourself. But yeah, that's really where I see Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter is evolving. I think it's at its peak right now, and I'm really excited to see kind of what's next. But for right now, I do know that I'm kind of over watching founders spend a lot of money on Kickstarter not to get the returns they want. So I'm opting for a safer, more practical route. Again, that's not for everyone, but I think that it's irresponsible of me as a marketer to not make my opinion on this public, because I do have insight that you may not have because we have access to projects and watch the market to see what's going on. So that's kind of what I have to say. I do still recommend Kickstarter, but we have a very finite amount of people that we would recommend do Kickstarter. Number two, am I still doing Kickstarter campaigns? Yes. We have a goal by the end of 2022 to have 80% of our business to be e-commerce focused, meaning Shopify brands, launches, scaling to 7 figures, consulting, etc. But 20% we will still be doing product launches, because still every couple weeks we have an awesome project that comes across our table that we just have that right fit for Kickstarter. So I'm saying, I guess for us internally, we're just going to be super picky about the Kickstarter launches that we take and weigh out the risks so that a founder is going in educated and they know exactly what they're signing up for. Apart from that, I think that's it for questions. Apart from that, this channel, how we're shifting content on this channel, it's going to be scaling your brand, baby. Meaning, we're very seldom going to do any more videos on Kickstarter or crowdfunding strategy, but we are going to be pivoting the conversation to resources to better help you launch and scale your e-commerce brand using your own website and multi-channel advertising. So if that's something you're into and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe. And apart from that, I love you guys. I am so stoked to share this weird but awesome and exciting video with you. And, here's to what's next. All right, talk to you soon. I'd love to explore that first to see kind of what is the difference in your mind between someone that decides to sell versus they are building a business because they know they want to sell it in 12 to 18 months.
It's emotional and mental preparation along with a huge financial difference. Let me give you one example. I was at a boot camp last week where it's all 10-figure sellers.
Yeah.
Now, most of these folks are in your world. They're not fully on Amazon. So they're able to get to 8 figures. And did I say 10 figures? 8 figures.
Yeah.
And do it because they're selling mostly off of Amazon on their own channels. And literally having a fireside chat with this guy, Kevin, and we're just chatting a little bit by the fire pit. And he's thinking about selling his business. And we get into ad backs, which is nay. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets $50,000 a month in cash back from the discounted purchases that he makes.
Right.
He had no idea that was an ad back. Okay, so $50,000, that's $600,000 a year. His business is worth 6 or 7 times, right? So that's $4.2 million if it sold at 7 times. $4.2 million added onto the list price of his business because he did a proper ad back schedule, or would, now that he was training for that.